Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. Tonight I'm going to be reacting to Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K Episode 1, Emperors and Dark Gods by a fan with too much time. Yes, I have been requested by a communist goat to react to this video and to the playlist. So I'm going to be doing this every Thursday alongside with any other Warhammer 40K content. So every Thursday I'll be watching at least one episode of Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K. Yes. Okay, let's start. 3, 2, 1, go.
For he is the salvation of mankind. Obey his words, for he will lead you to the light of their future. Honor his servants, for they speak his voice. Tremble before his majesty, walk in his immortal shadow. Let us begin.
Stars dance in the eyes of the Emperor and roll in the palms of dark gods. Chapter Master Orion Phaetrus had heard such words before, and often they were followed by tales of ships arriving at their destinations before ever leaving for them. Stories about entire battle fleets traversing time in both directions at the apparent whims of the boiling warp.
Wait, chapter master of which of which chapter of Space Marines? Yeah. Maybe he will tell us as we continue. Yeah.
But he had never, in his 700 years of service to the Emperor, heard or read of anything quite like this. Confirm these reports, he ordered, his mind wary of demonic deceptions and alien illusions. The large man kneeling before his throne seemed to wince at that, raising his head to plead and speak.
We already have, my lord,
the astrogator said, exasperation thickened every syllable that slid from his wet lips.
8 times before it was reported to me, and then I personally verified it 10 times before bringing this report to the captain. My peers verified it 5 additional times when it was decided to bring this to you. With respect, your beneficence, there isn't any more verification we can do with our current instruments and personnel.
What exactly are you suggesting? The ancient, half-machine warrior king asked, his voice as cold and calm as frigid steel. His head astrogator sputtered. He was a wide man, fat, and Orion had never had cause to speak with his current head astrogator personally. The man was known for being marginally more competent than he was shamefully corpulent, and given that he required servo limbs to aid in carrying his anemic bulk around the ship, he was a fairly good astrogator.
I think we need to get closer,
he finally managed, mopping at his sweat-laden brow with a red cloth.
We must land within the nearest detectable system and verify what we are seeing with our own hands, if not our eyes.
The chapter master said nothing, leaving the man kneeling and sweating before his throne for almost a minute.
What's going on? It seems as if what did you call it? Adjudicator? I think that's what you called it. Is having a loss of words, about what's going on with the ship after they warped somewhere. Not sure where exactly. Maybe they're still in the warp, or maybe they've exited out in the past or in the far-flung future, because I know that's what happens with warp travel sometimes. Yeah. Okay.
Gradually, he nodded. "Return to your station," he ordered, and the mortal kneeling before him wasted no time in obeying, hoisting himself off the ground with his spider-like assembly and shuffling from the metal antechamber that served as Orion's command center and bridge. A scant second after the astrogator had removed himself from view, company...
Astrogator. Okay. Right. And Orion is the ship. Okay. Gator. Okay.
Captain Aurelian Tex approached the command throne, saluting smartly to his commander. He was the youngest captain by far, barely cresting over 100 standard years of service. He was a prodigy within the chapter, a genius with a sword, and an equally proficient pilot and gunner. As was typical within their order, the chapter master took some pains to keep the young captain close, both to mentor the man and to judge him. "What do you make of it?" the Marine asked. Orion did not speak, did not answer at all for a moment, as plans and probabilities boiled behind his yellow eyes.
Okay, wait. The chapter master's name is Orion. Okay, not the ship. Alright.
Eventually, he broke from his contemplation to ask his own question. "Is Keela still incapacitated?" The captain of the third company shrugged his shoulders with a soft, mechanical sigh. His face looked sour suddenly as he was made to contemplate the words of that mutant woman. "The navigator isn't in critical condition any longer," he said curtly. "But," the chapter master pressed, sensing more behind his subordinate's words. "But she hasn't stopped crying. She insists that the Emperor is... that he must be... Don't," the chapter master warned softly.
The Emperor must be what? Wait, what? Did he kick the bucket? Is he dead? Oh no. And if the Emperor is dead, that means the Astronomicon doesn't shine in the warp anymore. Yikes. Okay.
The captain nodded and quickly changed the subject. "So, what do you make of it?" he asked again. Orion rose from his command throne, carefully lifting the sacred blade, the mighty Serpentis Venandi, as he strode over to one of the large, glowing hololithic displays. This one displayed the galaxy, and indicated their current position several light years beyond its languidly turning borders. "I cannot be certain, but my eyes are honed and often find the truth, and the truth that I perceive, the yield of my vigilance, appears to reveal that either something has utterly remade the galaxy in a way that was previously unthinkable to us, or when we tried to breach that thin tendril of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the warp flung us to the border of an entirely different galaxy, perhaps even a different dimension entirely." The captain looked at the same hololith, coming to...
I'm sure it is possible that, the warp can, fling you into a different dimension or a different intergalactic location. Is this how the Star Wars universe now collides in with the Warhammer universe? If that's how it's going, then this is interesting. Okay, let's continue.
Stand beside his master. His brows furrowed, and Orion knew without looking at him that he disagreed, even before the younger demigod spoke. "Is there perhaps not another answer?" the captain asked. "I can see that the Eye of Terror is not present, but does that really indicate that we are within a whole different galactic disk?"
Yes. If the most identifiable interstellar object, in the galaxy is not on the map, then for sure you're not in the same galaxy. The Eye of Terror is that thing that you cannot avoid. You will see it. You will see it, This is bad.
Is it not possible that we were merely lost within the warp for a much longer period of time than we expected, and that the Imperium conquered the warp while we were gone?
Conquered the warp? Okay, Captain Aurelian. Wow, you have a very powerful imagination right there.
Orion shook his head. It is not the lack of the miserable Eye of Terror that I find unbelievable. It is the missing Astronomicon that makes me think we cannot be looking upon our home. The captain shrugged. Perhaps it is just blocked. Such things have happened on the far side of the Secretrix Maledictum. Orion laughed at that, a bitter, unamused sound. A fine theory, but blocked by what? The eye is gone, the tear with it. Other things could... The captain started to say. Crew, Orion interjected. Play the audio of the Chief Navigator's words. The last words she spoke before we had to drag her out of her nest. At this, the crew hesitated. My lord, are you sure? Asked one of the bridge officers. Orion nodded. Everyone present has heard it before. Your faith should not be so weak that you cannot bear to hear it again. At his prompting, the officer complied, adjusting some of the controls upon the panel he sat before. In short order, the voice of Kila Shastrava began to bleat over the voxcasters on the bridge, her words retched between bouts of sobbing and shuddering sorrow. By the weeping stars I can see, for the first time I can see, and my sight blinds me. Woe to us, woe to the world and the universe, for my eyes can see all, and yet the light of the Emperor has faded completely. Woe, woe to us, for our Lord in the stars shines no longer. Woe, we are made orphans, for our father has died.
This is great. What's his name again? A fan with too much time. Yeah, this is good. This is really good.
Impossible. Stars danced at his command, rolled in the palms of his hands, and yet those deceitful little specks had hidden something from him, something enormous, something which could shift the careful balance he had spent the last 4 years creating. And the worst part about it was that he didn't even know, at least not yet, what precisely they had hidden from his sight. Palpatine had been informed of the unexpected gravitational disturbances by a mid-level hyperlane service report. Hundreds of thousands of ancient hyperlane buoys, most of which had been presumed to be underpowered and non-functional, had come alive nearly all at once. The report showed a cascading effect originating from a point in space a few hundred light-years away from Pazab, a backwater world at the very edge of the outermost part of the Outer Rim. The fact that Pazab had no buoys around it only emphasized the unprecedented nature of the disturbance. But this was not something that would have drawn his attention normally. The Dark Lord of the Sith was only marginally interested in space anomalies and phenomenon, and not at all if they could not expand his knowledge of the Force or be turned to function within his design. A curiosity, and nothing more. That is what anyone reading this report would have drawn from it. But Palpatine had known about the disturbance well before the report had been delivered to him, for he had felt it through a different vector, the Force. Something dark had just entered into the near boundaries of his soon-to-be-claimed galactic dominion, something which screamed and howled in...
Wait. To be claimed, meaning he's not the Emperor yet. He's still Palpatine, the Chancellor of the I almost said galactic community, Stellaris, sorry, of the, what is it called? The Galactic Republic. Yes, okay. Interesting. I wonder how will he respond to this, because he's not the emperor yet, meaning he still has to go through checks and balances of a democratic institution, to send people, or to send even the army of the Republic to deal with the forces of the Warhammer 40K universe. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. All right.
Voices the dark side had never used before. Palpatine knew it could only mean one thing. Rivals. Grim forces of a darker galaxy had arrived to stake a claim on what was his.
You have become a rival!
And the sense of them made him feel a power which he had been loath to use before. The intoxicating strength of fear added itself to his arsenal, for what he sensed now was no mere chaff to be blown away, no Jedi-like force to abuse and deceive. Crawling ever closer, he sensed a threat he had thought silenced forever when his crackling power had executed the drunk and foolish Sith Lord who had called himself Palpatine's master. The threat of other masters of the dark side, and the plurality he felt approaching only heightened the sense of danger he now perceived.
Can we really consider the warp and warp entities and creatures that manipulate the warp as dark side people? I don't know. I don't know if I could consider psychers as the dark side. They're using dark side energy. I don't know. It just doesn't mesh together, I don't know. Yeah.
But even though he had already felt it, the report was important, vital in fact, because while Darth Sidious was a master of the dark side and deeply attuned to such things, Sheev Palpatine, kindly Chancellor of the embattled Galactic Republic, was most decidedly not.
Wait, Sheev? That's his name? Oh, okay. Hi, Sheev.
Initially, he thought to wait until the Jedi brought the matter to him, thinking they too would sense the arrival of the oncoming threat. But as days dragged by, Sidious found himself vexed by his own competence. He had blinded the Jedi, and had done so with a great amount of intention. Even sitting within his room, speaking with him, surrounded by his dwarty statues, the Jedi could not catch even a whiff of his true nature. While he was a great deal more subtle than these newcomers, he was also a great deal closer to the Jedi, and these outsiders had not even entered the galaxy yet. By the time the Jedi realized the threat, it would destroy them, just as surely as Sidious himself would have, and that would not do.
I think also the reason why the Jedi haven't felt this disturbance in the Force like how Sidious has is because, they are preoccupied with the civil war that was created by Sidious himself. So they are blindsided to what's going on further away from the galactic center and the mid-rim of the galaxy, Their attention span is primarily focused on defeating what were they called again? The Confederacy, I think that's what they were called, They're focused on defeating the enemy. So, of course, it's understandable that they would have no understanding or foresight about what's going on in the outer periphery of the galaxy. Yeah. So this is all by your own design, Sidious. So you shouldn't be so angry. You should actually be pleased that the Jedi are still extremely blind, not only to your existence as who you are as Darth Sidious, but also to what's going on out there. It means your plans are working. Yeah.
Thus, the report. And you really think this deserves this kind of attention? Asked.
His attention to detail. A fan with too much time, definitely. His attention to detail. I like that. I like the voice acting.
The Jedi Knight Ren'Phi. Palpatine smiled calmly and nodded, completely negating his desire to scrunch his nose at the hissing, slurring accent of the Trandoshan Jedi before him. It was bad enough to be a pathetic, parasitic reptile warming itself on the power of the Republic. Did it also need to be a Trandoshan as well? Most likely not, but I would like to be sure. These readings are quite unprecedented, and it stokes my anxiety to simply allow whatever is causing them to pass us by unobserved, he said, fingers folded in front of him on his wide desk. I suppose, the Jedi said. But why clones? Why not send a survey team instead? He added. The impertinent fool. Oh, I shall send scientists and researchers with you as well, the Chancellor assured. But it is unprecedented, so I would not send them out there without protection. Besides,
always be ready for the unexpected, you know? Rather be safe than sorry. I agree with Palpatine here.
we can never underestimate the enemy we are currently facing. Even if the Separatists have nothing to do with what caused these readings, they have buoys of their own. I cannot rule out the possibility that they will also attempt their own investigation. The Jedi considered for a second before nodding his assent. I see the wisdom in this, he said. Good, good, Palpatine added. Then I'd be glad to send you on your way as quickly as possible. Like I said, we don't want this phenomenon to pass us by. I already have a science team picked out and ready to go. How many battalions do you command currently? Currently, 2. Make it 4. I'll have you reinforced before you leave. The Jedi gave a shallow bow of respect, and Sheev smiled. Thank you, Chancellor, he said. Please, do not mention it. Simply promise me that you will take care to remain safe. Odd things are said to linger near the edge of the galaxy. Our war is maybe a month from its close. I'd not have you miss it because of a tragedy on the frontier. Keep your men close about you.
He wants you to die during Order 66. Yeah. What I find interesting, right, is that Palpatine has authority to command the Jedi to take any mission that he deems to be worthy. Wouldn't that be the jurisdiction of the Jedi Council itself to command whichever specific Jedi they want to take that specific mission? You know, like, shouldn't the Chancellor be the one be giving a report to the Jedi saying, okay guys, I have this information, I'm sending it your way to deal with it as you deem fit, and then the Jedi Council will decide, okay, we're sending this particular Jedi to deal with this particular situation. But in this scenario that a fan with too much time has brought us here, it seems as if the Chancellor Palpatine is speaking directly to a Jedi, commanding this Jedi to go and investigate this situation without any consultation with the Jedi High Council, which I find quite interesting. All right.
The knight nodded. I will, Chancellor. Do you truly believe it might end so fast? Sheev leaned back and smiled. Trust me, my Jedi friend. I am an expert in such sorry things as war and peace. These matters can move suddenly, and, mark my words, it will be over before you know it. Next time. He is here, Captain. It had been nearly a week since Orion and his allies had been stranded in deep space by the failing of the fleet's navigators, far too long by his estimation. First of all, I'm always tense around Jedi. It is time for elucidation. Dr. Sheena was always a raw bundle of nerves, but this was a bit much even for her. He could feel her panic, feel how much she was suppressing it. The doctor was genuinely terrified. There shall be no reinforcement, no resupply. An extragalactic fleet! We are departing via warp space at 1300 hours sharp. This will not change, whether we have...
They can still use warp travel in the Star Wars universe? Huh, okay.
Have navigators or not.
Okay guys, that was Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K Episode 1, Emperors and Dark Gods by AFanWithTooMuchTime. This was nice. This was excellent. This was good. I like the story premise here of, a Warhammer 40K a ship, filled with a chapter master, captains, the whole shebang, on this. Probably it's like a strike cruiser. I'm assuming it's a strike cruiser because that's what usually Astartes go on, Their main vessels are strike cruisers. So possibly a strike cruiser. I'm not sure how many other ships are with this strike cruiser, have went into the warp and they came out the other side, not in their home galaxy. Probably also not in their own universe, entering into the Star Wars universe. And as soon as they entered into this universe, a wave of energy just, permeated across the galaxy, which activated some comm buoys, and also it alerted the attention of Darth Sidious. He felt it through the Force that there's something out there that's rivaling his own power in the dark side. So yeah, I really like how this has been set out, how the story has been set out here, and how now the Emperor, or should I say the Chancellor, has organized a fact-finding team led by a Jedi to go and investigate what's going on out there. And the Warhammer 40K side of things, the chapter master Orion and Captain Aurelian and the rest of the crew aboard their vessel are still in a state of shock after hearing from the navigator that the Emperor is dead, the Astronomicon is nowhere to be found, and things are just heading downhill for them because their very universe is centered around their Emperor. They need their Emperor for travel. They need their Emperor for belief in themselves and their strength, And now all of a sudden, the very soul of your being is gone. What do you do? What do you do? Who do you turn to? Who do you look to for guidance? Because the captain can look to for guidance to the chapter master. The chapter master, who is he going to look to guidance for? Because there is no upper echelon of belief anymore, because the Emperor is no longer here, And how are they going to navigate the warp in the Star Wars universe? I don't even know how the warp is going to operate in this universe. It may not operate the same way like how it does in the 40K universe, So this is going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. And without a navigator, they're literally going to be flying blind in the warp. And who knows what's in there, in this Star Wars universe warp, if there is one. I don't know. Maybe their warp drive engines won't even activate. It will just say unable to compute. We're not able to define what a warp a field is in this universe. So yeah, maybe they might not even be able to jump into warp space. So yeah, This is all very interesting. Very, very interesting. Communist Goat, thank you very much for this suggestion. I'm going to really enjoy reacting to this series. And guys, if you want to check out the original video as well as a fan with too much time YouTube channel, remember the links are in the description below. And if you like the video, remember to give me a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click on the notification bell if you're up to date with my latest videos. And I will see you next week Thursday. Okay? Bye-bye.